Anyway, welcome
Hey, here we are.
to the Why Not Us podcast.
Indeed.
I have to listen to Mike warm up his voice before every single
Unique
episode.
New York. Unique New York.
Yes.
Perfect.
That sounded beautiful.
I sound great.
You do.
I know. Anywho.
This is Mike McGowan,
Hey there. And this
back
is-
by popular demand.
And you are?
You can't introduce me?
No.
You could just say who I am.
Oh, it's Carter Kramer. That's right.
What an asshole.
I know. I figured it out.
I know. We barely knew each other. All right. As you can tell, we're getting to the end of the day.
Yeah, that's right. At the very end of the day.
I think our more logical thoughts have left. And here we are with the last pot of the day.
Speak for yourself.
But you had to force me to endure shitty topics a couple times today. I shouldn't say shitty. They're great topics. For me personally, they're hard because, again, I don't have firsthand experience, right? I don't have like direct connectivity to the topics. They're difficult. Fair?
Okay. I'll give you that.
Fair?
Yeah.
This topic, which is actually funny because this was one of the things that
I'm not sure it's funny.
the conspiracy theorist myself,
I'm
and
not
I
exactly
am,
sure it's funny.
thought this was a conspiracy theory until I started to research it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's real.
it's so real.
But you know,
it's happening all
do you
the time.
remember when this came up? At the island, at the house?
Yes, I
A
do.
long time ago.
It was.
That kind of
I do
thing.
remember. Yeah.
This and the engine.
Yes.
Combustion.
Yeah, it was about hydrogen power.
Correct. But anyway,
Yes. So,
back to the topic.
we're going to talk a little bit about weather manipulation, weather modification.
Which is insane. Which I say all the time. I say insane all the time, but it's insane.
Yes. Yep. So, I think that when I brought this up, you laughed at me, told me I was an idiot.
Yeah.
And I pulled up a government document, which was a patent, correct? Wasn't it a patent?
Mm-hmm. From the what? The 40s.
I believe it was the 40s, yes. Or maybe 1940 itself.
Perhaps. Whatever.
Yeah, it's old.
That's still the 40s.
Yeah, it's the 40s.
Go ahead.
That was basically a patent that allowed the manipulation of clouds.
Here's the definition. You ready?
Go ahead, you got it. Pull it
The
up.
deliberate or the inadvertent alteration of atmospheric conditions by human activity.
Boom.
That's weather modification,
Yes. So,
right?
funny thing is, we think about like, oh, if you could modify the weather, you would, prevent this, prevent that, prevent these catastrophic events. You would be able to do this and do that. No,
No.
that's not what it's been utilized for.
No, if you were to modify the weather,
Yes.
right? The last few times you came here, you would have stopped crying about how cold it was, and you would just made it better.
It hasn't even been cold.
I'm just saying.
It's been beautiful where I am.
This
I come down here. Yeah.
the last two times
no,
you
it's-
blame me.
But that's the problem, dude. I come down here to Arizona. It's 55 degrees.
Our
It's-
subscribers and listeners, did he not cry about the weather the last
Of
couple times?
course I did. I'm trying to finish the story, which is I leave Iowa where it's 55 degrees to come to Arizona where it's also 55 degrees
So why is
in
it
February.
Why is it 55 degrees in February in Iowa? Because people are modifying the weather.
There's a chance.
Anyway, let's go on. Go ahead.
Okay, so I talked to you a little bit about this, and you made fun of me a little bit, and I was a disbeliever as well, right? When this first came up in discussion with me, I was like, that's the craziest fucking thing I've ever. It's just silly.
Yep.
Then I started to dive into it, and I think when I sent you the link that had to do with cloud seeding,
Yes.
that was when you were like,
Yeah. I shit myself.
okay, so there's a little something that's called silver iodine,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
That can be essentially shot into clouds that already have moisture. So this is the crazy part, right? I think that people assume, and again, I think this is still where some of the questions lie for me in this whole weather modification discussion. You have to, from what I understand and what I've been able to read and learn and research, all of the elements of a situation have to be present,
Correct.
right? You can't create or stop certain types of weather, but you can enhance it. You can make it more intense.
Accelerate it.
Exactly.
That's one of the terms they use when
Yes.
when a cloud or a cloud system or a weather system, even broader, right?
Yes.
When they drop that silver iodide, right? When they
Iodine, but
Correct.
yes.
when they drop it in, and it forces things to happen.
Yeah, it creates ice crystals, which then
And guess
become
what?
too heavy for the cloud to hold.
Which is snow.
Correct. Or a lot of times they melt on their way down to their surface and it creates heavy, really heavy rain.
Yep.
So for a long time, man, this patent's in place. People are talking about how, yes, we understand how to intensify or exaggerate certain aspects of weather. There was a lot of scientists out there that said there's no proof, right? You can't prove that it's correct. It's insignificant. It's an insignificant and irrelevant discussion because you can't prove that it works. In 2017, there was a couple dudes that rolled up in a plane in Idaho, right? And there was a very minor snowstorm, but it was a big, big cloud structure that was holding tons and tons of moisture. And they did some cloud seeding of this silver iodine, and dude, it dumped.
Yeah.
Right? Dumped. And so much so that they were like, now it's irrefutable that it's very, very, very effective. And there's been other instances since then we talked about. There was a situation in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Weren't you talking to me about that today?
But that was years ago.
Yeah, no, a lot of this is years ago.
But they seeded something that was a tropical storm.
Yes.
It turned into Cat 5 or Cat 4 like that.
Yes.
And it destroyed Georgia.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because you know what's crazy to me?
What's the scary part?
I want to kind of detour just a little bit.
Yeah.
These C-130s, these storm chasers that fly in the middle of hurricanes, are they nuts?
Absolutely they are.
Dude, their C-130s propeller, I mean,
absolutely they are.
Are they crazy?
Yes.
And they just fly in the middle of it and they're taking
Can you imagine
wind readings and pressure readings and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Are you nuts?
Yeah.
But anyway, but they did that in Georgia.
Yes.
It was years ago. It was decades ago.
Right.
But they cloud seeded or they did something in Georgia to a tropical storm that was doing nothing. And that storm went into Georgia and caused like $2 million worth of damage back then, which is a lot of money.
Correct.
Right. Like they did. And so.
And then it was like, whoops.
Some of the genesis of this, right? So the United States in 40s and 50s were like, there's a military purpose, right?
Yes.
We can alter the weather. We can alter a battlefield.
Yes.
To our advantage.
Absolutely.
Right. We can make it dark or make it rain.
Yes.
Right. Like the cloud cover, make it darker, night vision goggles, whatever. Like we can do.
Yeah. Take advantage. No, but again, man, you can take it. Look, I talked to you about this a lot, man, as a hunter and a fisherman.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about, when I'm musky fishing, dude, you want the shittiest conditions possible.
Right. Because they're going to come for the...
Dude, they know if the water's dirty from getting mucked up and swished up and fish are kind of disoriented, they have the advantage, right? They're killers, bro.
Yep.
Prey, like white-tailed deer, for example, best days are sunny days, high pressure, clear, not a ton of wind, right? They don't want to be in a disadvantage because there's other things out there. They're prey.
Yeah.
They're susceptible to getting killed if they move around at the wrong time of the day with wrong conditions.
Yeah.
Hunters hunt and killers kill when they have the advantage, right? They're opportunists.
Yeah.
So they wait until they have the advantage and then they strike, right?
So
and this is kind of the same thing that we're talking about.
So that seeding that happened in Georgia, I just want to read this real quick. It was dry ice.
Yeah.
And it was a tropical storm that wasn't going to make landfall.
Yes.
They dropped dry ice and it pivoted 130 degrees west and made its way into Georgia.
Instantly.
That was in 1958.
1958.
So that's what? 70 years ago?
It's a long time ago.
Right? So they had this technology then. They're trying to figure it out then. And a lot of it, and so a lot of what I read on this, as you brought it up, and I'm like, holy cow, but it's waned, right? Like the science of it has waned in recent years, but they're still doing it all the time for snowpack.
Yes. I think when I look through, so you have to now file an application, which you can.
Yes, you have to.
That's the thing, man. It's not, this weather modification situation is not prohibited. It's not banned. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not illegal. You just have to file paperwork and you have to go through a certain process to say, here's what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Right. Here's the expected result.
Yes.
And so a lot of snow resorts, right? Ski resorts, I should say, not snow resorts, but they want to produce more snow. They want fresh snow. They want snowpack. They want certain things, right?
And why does the government say yes? Because the more snow, guess what happens? The more water runs off in the spring.
Correct.
Right. So it feels like, so the Colorado River is a huge, and this is some of what we found in our research.
Yes.
So the Colorado River, we've known for years.
Yes.
Has been being depleted. right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the water that's coming down.
Yeah, what, dude? Lake Powell, isn't that one of the spots that the river flows through and it's down 80 feet or something?
And
ridiculous.
And
right?
Arizona lost 25% of its water rights from the Colorado a year or two ago.
Right.
Right. So they try to refill it. Right. They're trying to get it back to go. Get it back going.
Snowmelt's one of the best ways to do it, right?
Correct.
Now, here's the other part, man. One of the major impacts of the lack of water and the loss of water on the Earth's surface is deforestation.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of the major things because trees will actually hold moisture down close to the Earth's surface. In big rains, they absorb a lot of water. They retain a lot of water. This will be a whole nother podcast, so we'll talk about another time. But I think they're trying to cover up some of the negative results of other things that they have approved and allowed with development, with agriculture, right?
Yeah.
There's this massive epidemic of deforestation. Hey man, I have an idea. Let's make it snow more. We can fill some of that water back up, right?
Okay.
Sort of even out this thing that we're screwing up with all this deforestation. 100%.
So where's John Kerry? Where are the climate activists when it comes to this deforestation?
That's right.
Where are they? They're not talking about, they're always talking about what? Emissions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So where are they in this weather modification / deforestation?
Do you think about deforestation? You get it twice. Because when you cut those trees down and you have all that dead debris, I mean, what do trees do? They hold carbon.
Correct.
They hold carbon dioxide and they turn carbon dioxide into oxygen. So when you cut them down, you kill them, all that carbon is released into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that now they're not processing that carbon dioxide and turning it into oxygen through photosynthesis, right?
They're holding water.
You're getting it twofold. It's like opportunity cost in economics.
Yeah, okay.
You're getting it twofold.
Yep.
And all this, oh man, we should drive an electric car. Oh, we should, dude, plant some fucking trees.
How many did you plant?
A lot. I'm going to plant a lot more.
Last year.
I got another. Last year, 1,350 trees.
Yeah.
I just ordered another 1,000 trees.
We went and checked them out too.
Yeah. What'd you think?
It's awesome.
It's cool, right?
And we saw those thunder chickens running around.
Yes. Hey, when's the best time to plant a tree? About 35 years ago.
Anytime. Yeah. Anytime. Right.
That's the saying,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Dude, you guys know the hard part is there are, and look, Mike, as somebody who has been involved in development, I've done industrial development. I've done, a couple different types of development. I used to work for a large residential developer here in Arizona. I look at these, we have all of these hoops to jump through for development. You got to do this. You got to connect to this stormwater sewer system. You got to have this many feet of curb. You got to have this much this. You got to have handicap accessible doors. You got to, you know what I mean? You got to have his and hers bathrooms and water fountains and this many parking spaces per square foot, right? It's infinite. And then they're like, hey man, put these 4 trees out for the 67 trees that you devoured to be able to develop this piece of dirt.
And then what?
Sorry, what?
And by the way, does the ground that's left through the development, can it sustain 4 more trees? Probably not, because there's concrete and there's.
Dude, it's all changed, right? We're changing the dynamic of absolutely. And the thing for me too, Mike, with that whole discussion, which again, I think that this weather modification thing, there's 2 types to me, right? There's intentional and there's unintentional.
Okay.
We're changing the weather. There's some of these people, again, for snowpack and for other reasons that are doing it intentionally. They're like, hey, dude, we're going to go fly a plane up there and drop some silver iodine in the clouds and we're going to make it snow like a motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
That's happening.
Yep.
We saw all the applications of people doing it in Wyoming, Colorado. I sent you a list. It was 99 pages long.
South Dakota, Rapid City, South
Absolutely, Dakota. Right? Then there's the people doing it unintentionally. That's what's happening where I live, right? It's the deforestation. It's the removal and the alteration of the natural resources and the natural.
So when I first went to Iowa, when we were first hanging out, doing this podcast, we drove around.
Uh-huh.
And you said, dude, look at the houses.
Yeah.
Look at the houses that are the farmhouses, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's farm all around them, but look at the houses.
Mm-hmm.
What are they surrounded by? And I'm looking at trees.
Lots of big trees.
A bunch of big trees around the houses, but then the rest of the land is just farmland.
There.
Yeah. So what was the ground like before all these farms? And it was all trees.
A lot of trees, man.
High grass and trees.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So they cut all those trees down. They deforested. They crushed it.
Yeah.
Leveled it out. and made crops.
Absolutely, they did.
Right? Because the soil is so fertile, it's so good for whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, man, I didn't want to get into this as much, but now that we're talking about it, let's talk about it really quick.
Yeah.
Okay? From 2009, okay, until 2013, the state of Iowa has cleared 97,000 acres of woodland. Okay. On a net loss, because some people that remove trees also replant.
Sure.
On a net loss, not the gross trees removed, but on a net loss in that time frame, do you know, and so this is 2010 to 2015, so almost in that same time frame.
Okay.
Do you know how many trees have been cut down? 114 million net. That's including the trees that have been replanted being removed out of that.
That's in a tiny little state like Iowa.
Correct. Which isn't known to be a forested state.
But it was, as you explained.
But there was also a lot of Great Plains. There was a lot of grass. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Which again has been used as farmland.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, it's catastrophic, dude. Catastrophic. 97,000 acres of woodlands in 4 years.
And why?
Moved. That's one state in the country.
Yeah.
Number one reason, what is it in Iowa? What's the number one cause of deforestation?
Farming.
Agriculture.
Yeah.
What's number two? It's development.
Okay.
Right?
Really?
Deforestation in Arizona, number one would probably be...
Yeah, development.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Urban sprawl here.
Yeah.
But how many native plants and native species do you wipe out to build 2,500 houses?
To build Queen Creek.
Right. Oh, it's more. Yeah, now you're talking tens of thousands of houses. It's huge, right? Those plants, man, and those things are part of this weather situation that we're talking about. They help to kind of keep things even keel. They have effects on things like wind direction, moisture to the atmosphere.
Okay.
It's deep, right?
So all this climate activism, right?
Oh yeah.
All of this green energy. I don't see them pushing back when they're clearing lands like that. I just see them pushing back when you're driving too many combustion engines.
Yeah. Why is that? Because there's money involved in development. What happens if you're a city and somebody improves the dirt? What goes up? Property tax.
Property tax, yeah.
All of a sudden, the value of the dirt goes up.
More
based on a percentage of valuation.
More residents, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Right? It benefits the local economy. Doesn't benefit the earth.
No, it doesn't.
It's crushing, bro.
Yeah.
It's sickening, dude. So again, there's two different aspects of this. There's intentional, unintentional weather modification. And again, when we talk about the climate change thing, that's what I think is interesting, Mike, is like because this has become politicized. You agree?
Agreed.
Climate change is a huge political
Biden
position.
Kerry as the climate czar, right? Like,
and what's he done?
The guy who he flies around in his private jet.
Yeah.
And he talks at whatever conference in Sweden.
Yeah. Look, man, the state of Minnesota has done a couple really, really basic things when it comes to agriculture that are really, really effective. Okay. These are simple things. They have a designated footage. If you have what's called a stream, which is a year-round running water, meaning that it never goes dry.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it's 30 or 50 feet or whatever it is, but you're not allowed to row crop that.
Okay.
But again, dude, you can grow other things, alfalfa, oats, the stuff you can still feed to livestock, right? You can still farm it. You just can't row crop it because it creates so much erosion. You're now spraying herbicides, pesticides on that stuff that's literally dropping directly into the running water that goes into places like the Mississippi. Why do we have a giant dead zone, dude, in the Gulf of Mexico where the Mississippi runs in?
Because
of where I live, bro. Yes.
Yeah.
Because the herbicide and pesticide that's dumping in there at an alarming rate because guys are tiling fields.
What do you call it? Ready Roundup?
Roundup Ready.
Roundup Ready, yeah.
Roundup Ready seeds, right? Yeah, you just spray whatever it'll kill everything but your crops.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? Where's that going? You don't think there's a residual of that when we get 4 inches of rain, especially when 2 inches of the topsoil goes with it?
So hold on. So let's go back to weather modification, right?
Yeah.
So can you not? So one of the examples is in 58.
Yep.
In Rapid City, South Dakota, there's a thunderstorm because they took airborne silver iodide generator.
Yep.
And they dropped into cumulus clouds and they claimed it was successful, and it destroyed. It was 100% effective in destroying clouds in a period that ranged from less than 3 minutes to 20 minutes. So they dispersed a thunderstorm.
Mm-hmm.
And reason would say that you could do that. You could do it in the reverse. You can create thunderstorms.
But can you?
Well, I don't know, but like,
that's the interesting part, man.
What does the land need? The land needs water.
Yeah.
Right. And sunshine.
Yes.
So can't you figure out how to do more of that?
Mike, here's the thing that I think is interesting after digging into this. The results of this situation, of this weather modification stuff, seem to be very sporadic.
Yeah. Well,
sometimes it accelerates, sometimes it disperses, sometimes I don't think that they know. And I think that's why for a long time it was said, well, it's ineffective. It doesn't have any effect. Until a couple of those storms they drop shit into, they like had catastrophic, immediate changes. It's like, oh shit, right? So like I told you, man, I think that this idea that we can create or, completely eliminate certain types of weather, I'm not sure that that's real. So I think that you have to have the parts and pieces that the weather needs to be.
So think about the elements you need to modify weather.
Yeah.
Right? You need whatever the chemicals are, whatever the for seeding, and you need all that stuff, right?
Right.
Costs a little bit of money, right?
Oh yeah,
You have to have the transport mechanism, right? You got planes that'll drop it in,
or some sort of land-mounted generator that can shoot shit way up into the atmosphere, which some people use. Costs a real thing.
Yep, costs money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the outcome, which either is to your benefit or not,
right?
And what does that create? Does it give you any money? Does it make you any money?
It absolutely could.
I mean, it could, but what's the reality of that?
It could also be totally like
benign.
Dude, it could be benign, but it could also be catastrophic.
Sure.
What if you're like, hey man, my soybeans need rain?
So that we talked about that storm in Georgia that caused $2 million worth of damage in 1958.
Right.
That was catastrophic.
Yes.
Did anybody make any money off that? No. The insurance companies paid their asses off for that.
Correct.
Right? So you've got the cost of the chemicals and the this and the that.
Right.
You've got the cost of the transport or however the seeding or however the
individuals are the only people that have a chance to benefit. But that's after they get punished.
And then you have the weather system to make it right.
Correct.
How do you make money off that?
Well, this is what I was going to say, man. It's this example. You're like, oh, my soybeans need rain, right? So you send this plane up and you drop the stuff. Instead of rain,
if the weather's right,
and instead of rain, you get hail, and all your crops gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure that they understand exactly what the effects of this are going to be. So because the storm, there's so many variables within what's going on up there in the atmosphere, the clouds. I think it's very touch and go. I think it's still very unknown, and this has been since the 40s, bro.
My point is
crazy, right?
The reason the interest has waned, and the reason no one's gotten into it as much as they've gotten into EVs or whatever else,
right,
is because there's no money in it.
Okay, so let me challenge you with this. Okay,
please do.
This is an article I found from Science, the Science portion of Time magazine. That's dated March 19th, 1928.
Okay.
1928.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Talks about a electrical engineer by the name of, he was a physicist by the name of Frank William Peake Jr. Okay. In 1928, Mr. Frank William Peake Jr. created a lightning strike inside of a lab that generated 3,600,000 volts. Okay. That was measured. You're talking to me about EVs and this energy crisis and how we can't produce enough electricity, support all.
Created a lightning bolt out of what?
All the elements it takes to create a lightning bolt.
So which have to be correct,
right?
Like the weather system has to be there.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Which happens all the time.
Yes.
There's lightning storms, there's thunderstorms, there's all that stuff all
Absolutely.
the time. Right.
Okay. Dude, there's still to this day, if you look up the science of a lightning strike, it's one of the few things on the planet that we really completely don't understand. Well, we understand some of the elements it takes for it to happen.
So what he did, he learned how to harness the energy.
He learned how to create it out of thin air.
Okay. All right.
3,600,000 volts, bro.
I don't know what that gives you. Tony could tell us.
Hey, what's the voltage of your service panel at your house? It's 12240.
Okay.
So your stove or some other things maybe take 220 volts.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
3,600,000 volts.
So why haven't it? That's a
Dude, you could run a city for.
That's a moneymaker. Why haven't we capitalized on that?
But again, who makes money if we allow people to generate their own power by saying, here's how you can.
Okay. I see where you're going.
Right?
Yeah.
Who loses control? Utility companies.
Yes.
People that have built thousands of substations all across the country.
Government subsidized utility company.
Yes.
Okay.
Think about our discussion with Tony.
Yeah. So how many solar panels do you need to generate? However,
You couldn't. It would take, dude. It would be probably the size of Texas. I don't know. It'd be a lot.
man, holy shit. Yeah.
No, dude. Lightning strikes. I mean, that's the thing, man. People have talked about that for a long time. It's like, you've heard the saying, "lightning in a bottle."
Yeah.
Right. If you could just capture lightning in a bottle, that's exactly what I'm talking. I mean, somebody in 1928, dude. You're telling me that we can't somehow take that understanding of that level of science and utilize that somehow to support this electrical and energy crisis that we hear about every single day, and why you should buy an EV and why you should stop, doing these things that have a negative carbon footprint.
Yeah.
However, we're going to go ahead and give money and tax benefits to these guys that are cutting down all the trees and creating deforestation. Dude, it's a fucking joke.
So if we had that electricity in the winter in Chicago, they could have charged those EVs. They could charge it here to
city
Vegas,
buses.
like we've talked about.
Yes.
So why not? So why is there no investment in that?
Why, we've already talked about it. Why is there not?
Why not?
But how do you undo this giant infrastructure
Mechanism, right?
that's already in place? It all becomes useless, bro.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the hydrogen car,
No.
right? If the hydrogen car comes to market, how valuable is oil or EV or lithium or cobalt?
Correct.
It's useless, bro.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
And everything that's been done is undone in an instant. Same thing with this.
So
Our entire utility electrical grid that we spent, and dude, in the United States, that's our claim to fame, right? It's like our infrastructure is the best in the world.
It's not. But
Not in Connecticut. I think you've mentioned that once or twice. That your your infrastructure there wasn't great. But remember Tony talking about that, right? It's like there's portions of the country where it's really strong. There's a lot of redundancy. There's portions of the country where it's lacking, right? And it couldn't support some of these things like giant data centers that are needed and being requested, right? Dude, this is a huge deal. So we have Donald Trump on his campaign going, we're going to be the energy leader of the world.
Drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill. We're going to be the largest, most effective energy provider in the universe.
But he's not saying we should invest in X to figure out how we harness that kind of electrical power.
Where's the innovation, dude?
It's gone.
Of course, it's crushed
because it doesn't make any money.
It's going to buy somebody.
Yeah.
If it happens, dude, somebody gets screwed.
Well, what it's going to do is going to put the people who have been in control and been in power, it's going to put them out of business.
They're gone, dude.
Yeah.
They're insignificant.
Yeah. It's insane.
Dude, it's about this.
Yeah. It always
so many things we talk about. It's about the money, man. And even this weather situation, dude, it's the same thing, right? It's like, well, holy shit, if I own a ski resort that's humongous in Wyoming and there's no snow, we don't get the tourism. The entire local economy breaks. People go out of business. So what do? They make their own snow. Dude, how long have snow machines been around?
Forever.
That's weather modification.
Yeah.
100% is.
Yeah. To an extent.
It's not real. 100% it is.
Yeah.
Again, dude, you're still putting all that moisture into the atmosphere. It changes everything.
So I keep coming back to the military application, right?
Okay.
Like if we're in a battlefield environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what can I do to degrade my enemy's forces, to degrade their capabilities?
Sure.
So that they can fight on whatever tier they're on.
Yeah. You want to put them at a disadvantage.
And I can take advantage, right?
Absolutely.
So I feel like rain is a downpour. What that does a lot.
Absolutely.
Right. So why haven't we harnessed that?
It seems to me like we're trying to harness it. I think there's still a lack of understanding.
Okay.
But again, man, the fact that there's this much documentation, this many applications for the use of people saying, hey, I need rain, or hey, I want to dissipate this, or hey, I want to create snow. It's happening, dude. There's very clear, I mean, I sent you 99 pages of applications of people saying, this is why I'm doing it. And they're doing it and it's working. It's happening.
I want everybody to hear he sent me the research, which is amazing.
Stop it.
I'm complimenting you.
You're a much better researcher.
I'm complimenting you. This is you're passionate about.
Look,
this
man,
as a
you're the researcher. I'm the good looks. This is why it works.
I disagree. I
loved it.
Jimmy
was like,
yeah, I disagree completely. But anyway,
look, man. As much as again, we're getting close on time. We have a couple more minutes left.
Sure.
The thing for me is that this, and I said this to start out this whole discussion. When this was brought up to me, I was like, come on. And then I started to dig in myself and I was like, oh my gosh, dude, it's clearly documented on multiple levels.
Yep.
You can see, dude, I started digging. I mean, and some of this stuff there's things I wanted to talk about in this podcast that I didn't find, to me, what I thought to be credible
enough
proof to discuss.
Yep.
But dude, there is some stuff out there that you're like, dude, if that's real, holy buckets.
I mean,
it's weird, bro.
Using fire or heat sources to influence connective circulation or to evaporate fog.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're in a battle zone, I keep going back to the military.
Yeah.
How much heat can you use, to dissipate that?
Yeah.
I think that has utility.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there was just a celebration. Remember we talked about 1928?
Yeah.
There was just a plan to create a celebration of 100 years of homemade lightning. Because it's coming up here in 4 years.
Yeah.
We've talked about this in so many of these discussions, Mike, of, there are so many positive opportunities with this technology, right? You could solve so many problems potentially, right? You could alter so many things in a way that would benefit the human race. Unfortunately, it's about money.
Yeah.
It's about greed. It's about control. It's about power.
So I would also say the technology isn't up to par with what it could actually do. Because if there was investment, if there was actual, someone paid attention to the technology and they invested in it, it'd go a lot farther than what we already know from the 50s and 60s and whatever else when the technology was.
But don't you think that's happening? Don't you think that's happening somewhere, somehow?
No, I don't think it is.
I do.
Because
I think the research is happening.
There's no money in it. There's no money in it, dude. We just
talked
about
that. You can control weather. There's no money in it. What? Okay, so let me give you an example.
What? No.
What if you? Hold on.
I'm not saying there isn't.
Stop.
I'm not saying there isn't.
Let me prove my point.
What I'm saying is no one's done it.
How do we know?
Good point.
Okay, so I'm going to buy futures in soybeans going to shit or corn.
Okay.
And then I'm going to create a drought. I just made fucking billions, dude.
All right.
Billions.
Yeah. So
there's no money in it?
Has that happened?
You're out of your mind. I don't know. Has it?
Right?
I'm not sure.
Who's going to do it?
I know that's a very volatile market.
Yeah. There's a hedge fund manager who wants to do it. Right?
I know some guys that made a lot of money on futures.
I'm with you. I know.
It's one of the few things you can control. And again, man, it doesn't have to be here. What if it's, the strawberries that are being sent here from Argentina? Mm-hmm. You don't think that there's people that are hedging that market?
Or the cattle
in giant monocropping scenario? That's what I mean. 100%. Dude, there's a ton.
I'm with you.
If you could manipulate the weather, and think about what you talked about. Think about from a battlefield war situation. You don't think that if you could, okay, let me put it this way. Remember the tsunami? The giant tsunami. Yes. Remember that it was insane.
It destroyed.
What if someone knowed that?
Why? There's no monetary gain there.
How do you know?
There's not.
What if there was some dispute over water rights or some other commodity that somebody wanted to get a hold of, and somebody said, and they're like,
yeah, maybe.
I'm just saying that you don't know.
I know.
This is why you have to do your own research. And again, man, I'm going down a rabbit hole just to prove a point that it really has no validity. But I think it's an interesting thing to think about.
I agree.
There absolutely could be money involved.
There could be,
depending on how you play it.
But right now, so what I'm saying, I guess, is that the money that could be involved is diametrically opposed to the money that's currently involved.
Potentially.
Does that make sense?
I don't know, man. I feel like I think about Back to the Future. If you can predict the future, if you know what's coming before it happens, you're going to crush.
So you're
always going to make.
So you're saying
I'm saying the powers that are empowered.
The argument,
all they have to do is bet on the right game.
The argument of Biff doing it for a second.
Correct. Right? Bet on the Cubs to win the World Series. If you know what's going to happen, dude, and you hate the Cubs and you've hated them for 100 years, I know it's a terrible analogy.
If you have a bunch of forces going against you, though, why would you get involved?
You don't think those guys switch sides? How many times do politicians and giant investors switch teams?
Every day.
Every day. They don't care. Do they have no loyalty or allegiance to anything or anybody?
I agree.
Fuck them. I think it's possible.
Good job, Biff.
Hey, you loved this.
I did.
Don't tell me you didn't. Feel like you're smiling like you did after your first prom date.
Easy. Dude, he worked out.
Oh, that caught me off guard. Oh, God.
So anyway, I think there's a lot of utility to it. I just don't know that
look, again,
the current structure is going to enable it or let it be enabled.
I have no clue. Again, to me, what I know is that it's happening.
Yeah.
There's documentation that it's happening.
Yeah.
It's been proven to work by multiple people. There's no question at all that it's occurring today in the world we live in. Your question is 100% valid. What is the utility purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it happening? What's the real potential of what it could do positively or negatively?
Mm-hmm.
I think we agree. I don't know. Again, we're throwing out a whole bunch of hypothetical bullshit that doesn't mean anything, but it makes you think, right? It makes me think. I sit there and go like, whoa, this could be really weird.
And
And
I think we both agree that going down that road, that avenue,
right,
is possibly
yes,
a whole lot more productive and efficient than it is going down some fucking road of windmills and EV.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yep. 1,000%.
Yep.
I think in so many of these cases, Mike, when you're talking about the powers that exist currently, they're too far down the path.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
How do you get, this far down the path and you sold millions and billions of people on this idea that this is what's going to save the universe, and then be like, oops, actually, I'm just kidding. I found another way that's better.
Yeah.
You're going to look like a moron. You can't backtrack in that discussion. And again, man, I've said this multiple times. It makes me sad that part of the industrialization of the United States has stifled innovation.
Yeah.
It has.
Yeah. I mean, what's our industries these days? Service.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, we have pot committed to certain aspects of technology that we can't back away from,
right?
Because it's too deep.
Yeah.
There's too much money involved. There's too much power involved. There's too many people stroking each other under the table. It's really hard to go backwards, I think. And unfortunately, there is better technology, in my opinion, based on some of these things that I read, that we're never going to see in our lifetime, simply because it would fuck somebody else's plan.
Because, well, it wouldn't be somebody else's, it'd be a whole infrastructure.
Yeah. It would change everything.
It would change everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But it could be for the absolute benefit of the human race.
Who cares about the human race? Who cares about the betterment of everybody else? As long as I make my money.
Where did that go? Right. That's the mentality.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You're spot on.
Yeah.
Dude, you hit the nail on the head so hard right there.
Yeah.
That's why we're not going to see it.
Yep.
Sad.
It is.
So, in summary, stop cutting down trees.
Yes. Plant more.
Plant more trees.
Yep. And don't buy into the whole green energy bullshit.
I was going to say create lightning, but I'm not sure that's...
Maybe we should.
I feel like I've seen you do it.
I have.
It's the look.
Right on my ass.
Okay, anyway, that's the sign that we should be done.
Yes, whynotUspod.org. Why Not Us in all caps on Spotify. Why Not Us 1776 on YouTube. Check it out. Subscribe.
Let us know what you guys think about this weather modification thing. Do some research, dig into it. Let us know what you find. I think it's interesting. If nothing else, it's interesting.
Yeah, agreed.
And what other monetization or ideals are we missing in this discussion? What are we not thinking about?
Yeah.
Because I think you can monetize the shit out of it.
I mean, if you're a 90s grunge fan and you like garbage, I'm only happy when it rains, let us know.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
That's too much.
Let's see. Get out of here. We'll see you in a week. Thanks, guys.